Welcome to this demo of software testing training. This is part one. What is software testing? If you want to contact us, you can visit our website at www.QATRAININGEXPERTS.com or email us at contact@QATRAININGEXPERTS.com. Alright, let's move on. Cost of software testing versus not doing it at all. So there's lots of costs associated with software testing. Hiring for the very first thing, is hiring us, the QA analysts, the QA testers. Most of my students who I place, who get through the training, I make between $35–40 an hour. That's $70,000 to $80,000 a year. If you're a company and you're not just going to have one tester, you're going to have multiple testers. The last company I worked for, we had about 50 test leads that worked onshore. We had about 150 people offshore. We spent millions and millions of dollars on employees for testing software. You also need hardware. Laptops, computers. You have when we are testing software, the software has to get usually installed on a server. Those servers are expensive as well. We also buy software to help us manage software testing. So testing software. Two of the tools that I'm teaching you, Quality Center, Quick Test Professional, these tools are very expensive. Quality Center, for example, minimum price is $30,000, I think, for a 10 to 15 user license. In the last company I worked for, we had about 1,000 users using Quality Center. Quick Test Professional, the automation software. This tool, minimum is $6,000 to $7,000 for one license. Okay, software testing, testing software is not cheap. We spent over $1 million purchasing Quality Center and Quick Test at the last company I was working for. But if you calculate all of the costs of software testing and try to compare it to what would happen if you didn't do it or you didn't do it correctly, there's no comparison. If you do searches on the internet, you'll see software bugs cost industries over $3 billion each year. That's not in total. Each year. If you do not do testing and you just hope your software is going to work and do what the users and business needs it to do, you may find when you put that software in place, employees can't work. The software isn't doing what it's supposed to do. You or your company could lose revenue. I worked for Hershey, the chocolate company. They brought me in to help set up their QA department, implement all of their processes and standards, because the year before they implemented software to help control and manage their shipping, and it wasn't tested properly. It had a bug, and they could not ship chocolate for an entire week during the Halloween season. They lost $12 million, and it was on the front cover of the Wall Street Journal, and they lost, I think, about 12 to 15% in stock. Their stock dropped 12%. They lost, I don't know if they lost customers per se, but if you're putting a product out there and it has problems, it's very easy to lose customers and also to lose the confidence of the consumer. Everything that takes batteries, and that's mostly everything that you plug in the wall nowadays, runs on software, from your car to the planes to your cell phone. If I go out and buy a car or even buy a computer and I am always having problems with that product, I'm probably not going to go back and buy another product from that manufacturer again. I remember when Compaq Computers was the #1 computer manufacturer. They were number one for a while until they started selling and putting computers on the market that had major problems. And I worked for them back then, and their main focus was stockholders. They didn't care if the software that was on the computer had problems. They wanted it to go out the door right away, because they didn't want to delay anything, delay shipping, because they wanted to sell and make money. What happened? They lost a ton of customers and consumer confidence. Bad publicity, the example I just gave you with Hershey, that's a good one. They were on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. And even today you always hear about software glitches that cause problems. I remember, like in the airline industry, there's always software problems that are costing them money, from losing bags to delaying of planes to flights being canceled. Let's see, lawsuits. If a lot of companies get sued if products don't work correctly. When I was working at Compaq, Compaq was sued by a few businesses because their fax software that they marketed and sold would only receive faxes 6 out of 10 times, and it was because of a software bug. Well, companies who relied on those faxes for their business and lost money came back and sued Compaq, and they actually settled out of court on that. Lastly, deaths. This is one thing we don't want to see happen, but it happens. Because I remember and you can go online and do a Google search for software bugs or famous software bugs, but there's one, I think it was back in the 90s, where a software bug caused a radiation machine to give lethal doses of radiation to people. I think about 5 people died, and there was a lot of people seriously injured. You hear about planes crashing because of software problems. So, depends on what kind of project you're working on, but software problems could, hopefully it's just loss of revenue and maybe employees who can't work for a couple days, but if you are working on the software that could potentially be a life or death situation for somebody, software testing is very, very important. Kind of leads us into this next slide. Why is software testing important? I think we talked a lot about why, but without software testing, you guys, companies would be taking a huge risk by putting products on the market and putting products in front of their users and not knowing for sure if the software is going to work. Is it the requirements that have been documented working for the business, for the users? Okay, we can't take that type of risk, especially when you're testing software that's going out to thousands and thousands of people. You can't take such a risk. You have to have confidence. That's why software testing is done, is to give companies and management confidence that the software is going to do, at the end of the day, it's going to do what it needs to do. We do not want to be the guy on the diving board hoping there's water in the pool, taking a huge risk. We just can't. It would cost a company way too much money if it did have a problem, and the potential of losing customers is huge. Nowadays there's a lot of competition on the market. If I don't like my cell phone provider, I can easily, in probably half an hour, switch to a new one. Doesn't take very long. I'll probably get a discount too. Software testing, our job as a software tester, is very important to businesses. Okay, that wraps up this lesson. There's some articles that I've made available to you, 3. One's called Characteristics of a Tester. Very interesting, goes through some of the different characteristics that testers should have. Attention to detail is one of them. Second one here is called Requirements, and lastly, the last one's called What is a Requirement? The requirement ones are very important. My goal in this training is for you to really understand requirements. These 2 articles will help you understand a lot more about requirements. Okay, you can email me any questions that you have if any come up. I will also be discussing these articles with you in a future lesson when we talk more about requirements. So definitely go through and read these before you watch the next video. Okay, this has been lesson 1. What is software testing? Please go through it a second or third time because we want to make sure this sinks in. You can't just watch these videos one time. You've got to study these materials. You've got to this is like taking a class in college. I mean, you've got to study it. We're going to have tests. So this is to help me get you in the door to a great job. All right. I'll talk to you in the next lesson. Have a great day. Thank you.